I'm gonna ask you guys a question. However, the difference is we all have different answers, but nobody's correct. So what I want you guys to do is think in your head, when you guys graduate high school, what is going to be your next step? Now, for some of you guys, you're gonna think, I'm gonna go to college. Now, let's imagine you go through college and graduate. Now, what is your next step? And if you don't know what you're gonna do after college, that's perfectly fine, because the graduates at the Eastern Kentucky University in Richmond, Kentucky, had the same idea. Michelle Obama went to the stand and performed her commencement speech in 2013 and answered a simple question: what is the next step? But rather than answering one simple question, she broke it down into 3 separate questions to analyze what she's asking for. Now, our speaker is Michelle Obama. Clearly everybody knows who Michelle Obama is because she writes books. No, I'm just kidding. Barack Obama is her husband. Now, Barack Obama actually played a big factor into her speeches because the year is 2013. And if you guys don't know the presidential timeline, Barack just started his 2nd term. So Michelle did gain some popularity because of this. This also allowed her to start more speeches and go wherever she wanted to because of her popularity. She actually still does commencement speeches to this day, and she actually did one 3 months ago online for the class of 2020. Oop, there he goes. Why will it endure? Now, during Michelle's speech, she asked a lot of questions. However, they're very open-ended questions. You would call it ambiguity. Now, as I said before, she splits the main question into 3 separate questions. Now, they're right here. Who do you want to be? How will you serve others? Who will you include in your life? And I will go in depth. Now, who do you want to be? Notice how I didn't ask, what do you want to be? Michelle does not care what your occupation is. She cares about what you're going to do with your occupation and how it will serve your community. And also, if you have an obstacle in your way, how are you going to bring that up? And if you get an obstacle, you're going to develop skills that will help you in different atmospheres. And those skills will help you with the second question, which is how will you serve others? You're going to use those skills and serve as many people as you can in the community. Now, Michelle Obama is the wife of the president, but when she means serve, she does not mean in the army. If you serve in the army, that serves the same purpose. However, if you serve in the community any type of way, she treats that just as the same. As long as you are a beneficiary to your community, she sees you as good. Now, the third question, who will you include in your life? Now, I know it sounds dark, but at one point in your life, you will be independent and you will be alone after college because everybody's doing their own journey, everybody has their own path, your friends are across the entire nation, and you have to go find people who do not know you, do not know what you've experienced, what you've gone through, all the hardships you have faced, and you have to connect with them and reach out and talk to them because you have nobody. And Michelle says that is the hardest question that she's asked, and I 100% agree with that. Now, these are the same questions. Now, for the first question, it leaves ambiguity. Now, if Michelle were to ask, what should you be? How should you serve others? Who should you include in your life? The word should implies that there is a correct answer. But the thing is, there isn't. Everybody has a different journey. Everybody has a different answer that they seem as correct. Now, significance. Significance to then, it's significance to now. Significance to 2013 graduates. They are starting their new life. Some, even though they've gone through their major and gone through their classes, some of them don't even know what to do next. So Michelle Obama is using her 27-minute speech as a way to push these people to their next step because they don't know what to do. Now, significance to now. Look around. We are the significance. We are the students who are going to the next step. If we were not going forward in education, this speech would have no relevance. If there were no students or people who were to pursue a better life, this speech would have no significance. Now, rhetorical devices. One of them is more known than the other, and that is the one on the right, but the one on the left. The highs and the lows, the triumphs and the challenges, the celebrations and the devastations. That is an example of what is called parallelism, when you have words or phrases that equal each other out to make the sentence a nice flow. Now, this is a small excerpt from her speech. However, during the entire speech, she repeats herself many times asking the same questions. And here are just a couple of her questions that she repeats a lot. Are you a hard worker? She wants to emphasize much stuff like that. These are a couple questions, however, she does repeat herself a lot with these simple, ambiguous questions. Now, as many speakers do, there's ethos, pathos, and logos. Now, with ethos, I'm actually going to show Michelle's use of ethos in the clip that I'm using. But for ethos, she's going to talk about her expertise as being an employer. And she's going to discuss that what you got on a test score or what you got in a grade will not affect an employer. An employer cares more about your character traits and your personality traits versus what you got on a simple little test. Now, unpack those. Although it does not serve a big significance to her specific purpose, it is the day before Mother's Day of when she gives the speech. So the very first 5 minutes of her speech, she does give thanks to the parents of the graduates and talk about her own parents and their own hardships that got them to where they are. Now, for logos. She does give a bunch of facts about the Eastern Kentucky University because that's where it's happening. And at the Eastern Kentucky University, they do a lot of community service. So Michelle gives the fact that cumulative, that entire community has had 107,000 hours of community service, and they've been placed on a President's Higher Education Community Service Honor Roll. Those are big achievements if you don't know about them. Now, for the clip, she does talk about ethos.
Those are my 3 questions. Who do you want to be? How will you serve others? And who will you include in your lives? And let me just share just a little secret before I end. As someone who has hired and managed hundreds of young people over the course of my career, the answers to those questions, believe me, are far more important than you can ever imagine. Whether it was during my time as a lawyer, as an administrator, as a university, a nonprofit manager, even now as First Lady, I have never once asked someone I was interviewing to explain a test score or a grade in a class. Never. I have never once made a hire just because someone went to an Ivy League school instead of a state school. Never. What I have looked for is what kind of person you are.
Now, at the second half of her video, she does go into ethos, but before that, she does show how passionate she is towards these graduates and how she does want them to achieve, which is her specific purpose throughout her speech. She wants to show that there is no right or wrong answer to the question, what is the next step? Now, throughout my speech, I hope you see that during Michelle's speech, that not only are her words applicable to the class of 2013, they're also significant to the class of 2021. Now, my question of whether or not, what is your next step, that question is done. But the getting to your answer is only just now. Thank you.